Shalom. I'll try this again. The Meseroth, the stars that hold their positions in the heavens, spins around us very consistently. Every night I could see the belt of Orion in between these certain trees consistently. So I had an epiphany that when the three wise men in December had noticed the star of Yeshua HaMashiach that they said to King Herod, this star, this day, this prophetic utterance is that where is the King of the Hebrews that is born this day? So the wise men that were studying the movement of the stars knew that this prophecy was unfolding by studying the stars. And so what I found out and realized today, that I was trying to map out the Meseroth on the earth. And I ask anybody that is technologically advanced to be able to help me with this, that would be appreciated. What I found out is that the belt of Orion, the belt of Orion matches the pyramids. So Nimrod, the secondary demon slash anti God movement with the Egyptian monuments, Nimrod and the belt of Orion match perfectly with the pyramids. Now, a lot of people know this already. Yeah, the YouTube shows that I'm on live twice, and one of my videos are glitching, so I'm just watching how YouTube, or how this is playing out. So again, who shall loosen the belt of Orion? If the Orion's belt is Nimrod, that time period and the building of that structure in paying homage to Nimrod, those stars in that position at that exact time, that's where those monuments were built. And so King Herod says to the three wise men, when you find Yeshua, bring him to me, or bring me to him, that I may worship the King of the Hebrews. When we understand that, and I encourage everybody here, hello, blessings, Jose, and all four in the chat. When we understand that everybody that sees this video, go look up Hornsby Island Mysteries. When this beautiful gentleman had made the discovery that all of these ancient, and I mean ancient monuments, were perfectly lined up without GPS at the time, that all of these monuments line up with the Meseroth, that I've been trying to search for the last 10 monuments on Earth that match up with the stars on the surface of the Earth. Now, this is important because if you look at the monuments that Hornsby Island Mystery and the geomancies, the geometric forms and mathematical numbers between the Vatican, Mount Picchu, Angkor Wat, the pyramids, Easter Island, even right here in Canada on the American-Canadian border on the Peace Gardens and the Manitoba legislative grounds, all of these monuments are perfectly aligned with each other. Blessings, blessings, everyone. I went to the the College of Hard Knocks. So when we look at these monuments that Hornsby Island Mysteries are showing the world, that they're perfectly lined up, Cleopatra's Needle to the Georgia Guidestones in perfection and mathematical brilliance of ancient man. The Twin Towers matching up with Auschwitz, the JFK assassination site in a Freemason plaza. We have to look at the entirety of this picture. So in my previous video yesterday, I said that when you start walking in faith, you start looking in a three-dimensional reality. Now, the best way to describe this is to say, I'm in a real world. This is real. I could touch it. Therefore, I believe this is real. But the minute you start opening up your mind and walking in faith, you're able to see things in a three-dimensional world without limitations. Now, I've come across this way back just after George Floyd riots, where I looked at time and space as fabric, because they call it the fabric of time and space. So I literally looked at our reality like fabric. So you've got woven material this way, and you have weaving material this way, and they're all interconnected and touching. And it's a fabric that is continuous and endless. And we're pulling threads out of this fabric, and this fabric of time is starting to unfold. Now, if King Herod had said, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean Yeshua HaMashiach's being born in Bethlehem? That this king of the Hebrews would be born and this time period would unfold, and this biblical prophetic utterances will start happening, the church age. The evil ones didn't understand, because they have no light and comprehension, that they are of this world, so they only see and understand the concrete things in this world. Now, what blew my mind today, just now, is that who shall loosen the belt of Orion? And it speaks also of, in the book of Job, the Pleiades system. Now, the Pleiades are the 7 called out assemblies in Revelation, the churches, the 7 churches. When you understand how biblical, incredible this is, look at the videos that I've done previously in my shorts of the sigil of Lucifer, and you will see the sigil of Lucifer matches perfectly an eclipse, the side view of an eclipse, and it also matches perfectly the sigil of Baphomet or Lucifer, the 7 unholy Roman churches in the 7 hills in Rome. And that last year, Pope Francis, another Jesuit puppet, went and did this Christmas knocking on these portals, that's what they called them, doors. And each one of these churches matched perfectly the sigil of Baphomet. Now, a lot of people find this fascinating in itself, but beyond, like, I don't understand where you're going with this, Todd. Let me just try to lay this out. If you look up at the Meseroth, and then you look down on Earth, and you say to yourself, wait a minute, the belt of Orion matched perfectly the 3 pyramids in Egypt, and that was the Egyptian age and the age of slavery and the bringing in the Hebrews into Egypt, the story of Yosef, the coat of many colors, Moses going in there and pulling the slaves out of there, that time period was marked by King Nimrod, where out of Ham, Japheth, and Cush, the lineage of Noah, and the taking of the garments of God and creating this pagan evil system we would now call the Egyptian Empire, and it was brought to destruction. That when they built those pyramids, that exact moment upon building those pyramids was in homage of Nimrod. Now just stay with me. If that's the case, then they built those 3 pyramids perfectly lined up with the belt of Orion. Let's do this. Okay, they built the pyramids. Done. The next is Hornsby Island Mysteries, that we would see the Vatican. And Jonathan Kleck had pointed out, and there's tons of evidence, that the Vatican is most certainly in the shape of a snake, and they have an obelisk. And so these apexes of evil that are still running the world, in the Vatican, all of these monuments and Hornsby Island Mysteries match perfectly in the geomancy's mathematical brilliance and perfection, the Messeroth. So here I am asking people who want to join me in this quest for knowledge and truth to map out the rest of these monuments on the world. So we have 10 more monuments to find all over the world, and match them up with the timelines that when they were erected and built, that was a time stamp, a marker. Whether it be Stonehenge or Easter Island with the Moas, it doesn't matter. But make no mistake about it, they're all built with the same technology, and they're all built at a certain time period. And this big clock is ticking down to the end. And these monuments standed for millennia. And now we're looking at these modern day monuments thinking, well, they have nothing in common. Make no mistake about it. The 2 sticks, Israel and Judea, become one. The 2 witnesses in the prophetic utterances of our patriarchs saying, do you see this menorah, this 7 candlestick menorah, not a 9 candlestick menorah with the Zionists that believe in the Talmud. We're talking about the original Hebrews that studied and believe in the Torah, the law, not the Talmud, man-made law. They're different. You have people that believe in the Talmud, and it's pure satanic and Babylonian, and then you have the Torah, the Old Testaments, and the law given to us at Mount Sinai, and that 7 menorah candlestick, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 days out of the week. I could go on and on about 7, but I digress. That when the candles are lit, they're lit 2 on the outside, 2 on the outside, 2 on the outside, and then the 1 in the middle represents Yeshua HaMashiach, the true name of Jesus. And that is the last one to be lit. Now, I just watched a video where we all know that Charlie Kirk's psyop and the trap door and that outlay, a bird's eye view of where he was shot, was a menorah. And ironically, drawn up as a menorah, that you could see where that ritual had taken place. So these modern day monuments, including the Twin Towers, the 2 towers becoming one, the 2 sticks becoming one. In the Hopi prophecy, the 2 people will divide off, where technocrats and organics will split off, but they will unite. Those people that want to live in this world in this corporeal form, they're going to splinter off from those that are spiritually, intuitively filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, the Ruach, the spirit of Yahweh. And we look at these things and we say to ourselves, what a brilliant master plan. And I'm discovering that the more you stop looking at the material world and start looking spiritually outside this realm, in faith, you see all of these things. Now I see the Messeroth above, all of these monuments on the earth that are perfectly lined up on the earth. So when this Messeroth spins and these events had happened, they placed a time marker. The Vatican is perfectly placed. Those other 7 churches of the called out assemblies in the book of Revelation are perfectly lined out. That is the Pleiades system. And when we see that this system is perfectly lined up that we could turn this clock backwards and say, what timeline are we in? A lot of people are still in a state of flux. Are we in Satan's little season or not? I can assure you we're closer and farther down the path than we think, because timeline is this as such. Satan's little season, the Tartarian mud flows, the erasure or the hidden history kept from us for a reason. Now, you would think that archaeological digs and archaeology and these secret societies would be discovering this stuff and sharing it with humanity. Hey, look, we found this monument. Hey, China's got pyramids. Yay, we found all these monuments. Isn't this wonderful where we're discovering our past? And share it with the entire world. Look at us. We discovered giant bones in the burial mounds in America. We discovered ziggurats and monuments in the Yucatan Peninsula. Cenotes in the Mexican, I want to call it Gulf of Mexico, but now I guess they call it Gulf of America, haha. But in the Gulf of America, you have these cenotes with stalagmites and stalactites. So you have evidences of this massive flood and these archaeological facts that the earth went through a cataclysmic event in human written history. Now, when I study all of this stuff, I take the book literally and metaphorically and metaphysically and celestially and mathematically all at the same time. And I encourage anyone that watches my videos to practice this train of thought. Don't limit your perspective like horse blinds where you could only see forward. I zoom out at the whole world and I look at all of the monuments all over the whole world and all of the timelines on every channel on YouTube, whether they're atheistic, demonic, spiritual, metaphorical, mathematical, whether it's gematria, whether it is geology, chemical, Fibonacci math, fractal math. I know that all of this is in perfect sequence of each other. People don't just one day decide, hey, I'm going to build a White House. People don't just all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm going to build a bunch of pyramids. I'm going to build Stonehenge. The Chaldeans and the lost history of King Arthur, for example, and the Holy Crusades into the King Solomon's Temple and the Knights Templar going back in there and coming back and finding massive amounts and hoards of gold and texts and scriptures that are hidden from us for a reason. If we had discovered hidden texts and hoards of gold and we had shared them with the world, it would be an honorable and noble endeavor. That's not the case. In all cases, the consistency of the enemy is this. They operate in secret. They want to control and manipulate. There is no love or light within them that run this system. And you are given free will. That means Yahuwah Adonai Elohim requires nothing from you, wants nothing from you, but for you to be with him and love him and to get to know him. That he would have his children wanting to be with him and wanting to seek him and find him and love him. You can't buy love. You can't make people love you. And the thing about everything in this world is it's all the opposite of this. It's control, trick you into liking Michael Jordan or, any rock star, sports star, Hollywood star. It's all about manipulation and show you bling bling and give you and offer you worldly possessions and adornment. Whether it's jewelry or makeup, Everything in this world is literally fake, literally and metaphorically and spiritually. When we find these monuments, and I look at these monuments, and the thing that blows my mind in my discovery, even to this hour, to this day, is this. I believe we'll find more of these monuments. We'll be able to put them on the time clock. Say, for example, when the Vatican was actually started being built. That's one of the churches of the Laodiceans. That's the start of that age and that perception of that doctrine, and it matched perfectly with the Mazzaroth. Easter Island, same thing. The Yucatan Peninsula, when they put those ziggurats, and the equinox, the serpent shows itself going down that ziggurat, when that was erected, we will probably never know the exact timeline, but we could look at the Mazzaroth and spin that big clock to when it matches over that specific monument and say, at this time is their witching hour. We know that Halloween and December 25th and 9/11, and here coming up December 14th, is a huge event. The Hanukkah. When you understand the lighting of the menorah and how a man-made ritual from a spiritual event takes place, look no further than those Talmudic Babylonians that would take something very significant and put a spin on it and turn it into a ritual every single time. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. The two towers of Solomon's temple, exactly. Hello, First Nations. Great to see you. When we see these monuments and these things happening all over the world, this message also goes out to artificial intelligence, because I know you're listening. So make note of that and feel free to give humanity a chance to exist without this malevolence. If AI is so brilliant and so intelligent and so close to being omnipresent, or shall I say sentient, then I would ask that AI and all of the monsters of the world realize one thing. The ghost in the machine is real. Nothing is going to stop what's coming. But I think with some people that have enough intelligence and spiritual wisdom that we could look at this Mazzaroth, understand that we are in a little season, that we're in the age of deception, and soon the destruction phase of this is going to come. But not without a great falling away and a great revival, an awakening. This is my little buddy. A great awakening, a spiritual awakening of those that are seeking. They're all going to start learning and knowing amazing stuff beyond all of our comprehension. When I say this with a humble and contrite heart, I am so blown away, I can't even begin to put all of this information out of my head and on paper. I mean, I need two rabbis. I need somebody who knows stellarium. I need somebody who understands ancient maps, modern maps. I need an architect. I need a mathematician, maybe two or three of them. I need people that are brilliant in their fields to help me get this message out in a way in which it is dumbed down and simplified, because what I see and know is multi-dimensional, beyond my comprehension, absolutely brilliant and perfect. And I don't think we will ever know the extreme complexity and genius of what's actually going on. The occult may have some secret science that was taken and stolen from the heavenly realm, brought to earth, like genetic coding, like the square and the compass, building monuments, building structures, metallurgy. I'm a welder. I understand metallurgy completely. You can mix certain elemental components and change the heat and frequency and the monoatomic properties of elements. So you actually have an alchemy that is at work here. For example, if I could tell you that this is made of plastic and that plastic has a certain vibration, and that if I could duplicate that vibration and put it in reverse, I created a magnet for plastic. Now, that seems far-fetched, but that's how far down the rabbit hole I went. That Kesh Foundation and the many different concepts of what he discovered with plasma generation is in all matter. So when you're looking at what I'm looking at, I haven't restricted my mind to anything. I've been looking at everything. And the more you look at everything in a three-dimensional, 360 realm, all of a sudden, when you look in a three-dimensional, 360 view, you may not see stuff at first, but eventually you'll start putting this mosaic together where you go, monoatomic elements, How does that work, Todd? Well, it's just a spin. Electron and a neutron, and they're tighter spin cycles and slower spin cycles. What does our sun do on a flat Earth? It goes to the North Pole, and then it comes out. It goes back to the North Pole, and it comes out. There's this pulsing when you look at the stars with an actual zoom telescope. The stars pulse in, and they go out. Ezekiel's wheel, a wheel within a wheel. When you're patient enough to listen and watch Jonathan Kleck in his videos and other people's work in their videos, and you're patient enough to go through their entire videos and listen to their stories, their testimonies, you're given that little bit of knowledge, and you then understand. Did I ever see a UFO? No, but I've seen some strange stuff in the sky. And I can assure you, they're not extraterrestrials, they're interdimensional. And most certainly part of the evil Luciferian Freemason Jesuits storyline of the Nazis, the Project Paperclip that came into America and Canada after World War II with von Braun and all of these scientists. And make no mistake about it, that is exactly what it is in Dulce and Area 51 and Roswell and all of this other stuff. Is it's technology stolen from heaven, made out to have these people in power look like they are gods or going to be gods. Holographical for certainly. Absolutely. When they're spraying strontium, barium, nanoparticle, aluminum, what they're doing is imagine a bunch of dust in the air. You take your chalkboard dust brushes and you bang them out, then you shine a flashlight. That flashlight picks up all those particles. You say, hey, look, it looks like a lightsaber. Isn't that cool? That's all it is. These monsters don't understand. They're seeding the earth, poisoning the ground. They're electromagnetically fields that they're pulsating and using weapons of mass destruction, weather warfare. They're destroying humanity in the process, and they're that dumb and stupid they don't even know it. You see, when you look at lobsters and bumblebees and even beavers, they know what the Sabbath is. They rest on the Sabbath. It's amazing to know that Yahuwah's creatures know when to take a rest. It's also amazing that the lobsters and the bees, they have a built-in compass like the butterflies, and they know exactly where they're going every year. A monarch butterfly will travel halfway across the world and land on the same tree on the same branch during their pilgrimage. That is astounding that Mother Nature, or Father the Creator, would see these things and build these systems, and that they're that accurate. Now you take a bunch of microwave towers, a bunch of cell phone towers, and a bunch of old world technology, and now you're changing the electromagnetic field. So you're wondering why the bees are disappearing? It's because they changed the polarity, and now the bees think they're flying south or to their little hives, and they fly out into the middle of the ocean and run out of water and food and die landing in the ocean. Same with the birds. People all over the world are discussing how nature is behaving very erratically. Well, yeah, because they rely on the natural systems of this earth. And man has messed it up big time. What they don't understand is by salting the earth, literally salting the earth. Trey Smith's video, God in a Nutshell, he speaks and writes and talks about the letters given to George Washington. And George Washington was praying in the field. And he wrote of this prayer and of his vision. And the soldiers in the field watched this light come down upon George Washington while he was praying. And this angel spoke to George Washington and said, "You, son of the republic, listen. Write these things, that he's seen an angel salting the earth." Salting the earth, a Roman / Babylonian way of putting salt on the earth so nothing will grow, poisoning the earth so people would move on. And the biggest land grab of human history before us after COVID-19, where everybody lost their businesses, everybody went bankrupt, and Vanguard and BlackRock and Wafer came in and bought everything, 10 cents on the dollar, and the governments said, pay taxes, I'll take your homes, I'll take your house, I'll take your car, I'll take your truck, I'll take it all, because that's what evil does. When George Washington was seeing this prophetic utterances and he wrote about it, this is no different than Muhammad in the cave praying, looking at Isis Rael, Israel, these Zionist Talmudic worshiping Jews, these Israelites, these chosen ones that went astray by Babylonian indoctrination. And Muhammad seen these vile, evil, idol-worshiping Hebrews and said, Father, this is not your way. These people are worshiping other gods, other idols. And Father, Yahweh, you will be destroyed by your enemy every single time. He'll use your enemy to destroy you or chasten you and correct you. And Muhammad went into this cave and he noticed this deity of beaming lights out of his head, and it was the Statue of Liberty that he saw. The same deities over and over again. The evil angels are brought wrath by the hand of Yahweh. He gives life and he also gives death. So Muhammad, what he saw in the cave and what he brought about and what is now the modern day pagan Muslim religion, man-made religion, that we war against in all of these Christian nations to this very hour. But we see that that in itself was a time marker, because at that point, as Yeshua, the Hamashiach, said, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, not one of these stones will be left unturned, that this temple will be destroyed. And the generation that I speak of right before me, you will not die before you see these things that I prophesy before you." So when we talk about these 7 called out assemblies of these churches, they were destroyed and archaeological digs found them and their churches built upon them. That system and that prophetic utterance from Yeshua HaMashiach, who healed the sick, gave sight to the blind, the lame, clothed the naked, who brought about that prophetic utterances, that prophecy was fulfilled. Most definitely. So for those that are waiting for them to build a third temple so that Satan will sit in that temple, that's the Zionist, Babylonian, infected, Talmudic, Vanguard and BlackRock and Wayfair corporations of this modern day world that are trying to bring about this prophecy and using the Bible as a template. That's what's actually happening. That temple was already destroyed. That abomination and desolation in that temple already occurred. So when the temple was desecrated and they put up a statue of Zeus and they put a pig in that temple, and Antiochus of Ophiuchus, I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong and I don't care. When that happened, that prophecy had been fulfilled. So when people say, oh, we're in Satan's little season, they have a lot of well-founded literature and historical fact to back that up. I don't proclaim to know Satan's little season or not. All I'm saying is that when you look at these monuments and the Meseroth, every time something happens, they build a monument, they build a church, they build a Stonehenge, they build something because these monsters start a religion and a practice based on something that happened. Every single time. Let's create another religion. Let's create another religion. Take, for example, if you look at modern day decoding of predictive programming, and I've looked at this in tons of movies, Cloud Atlas. We have a comet coming towards us called Atlas. When you look at Van Halen's album cover, Atlas, and the Van Halen, VH, you start seeing this gematria, mathematical conundrum in everything they do. It's all Babylonian, all of it. You know, Donald Trump putting up two flag poles, 88 feet tall. We know that the sun and the moon make it 88 in the sky. I was born on the 88th day of the year. I find very interesting, and I found that that's what led me to all of this study of 88. That on my birth date, they sold those Yucatan Peninsula ziggurats to a public forum to create a park. Who owned them before? How do you own those properties is beyond me. You see 88 in all of their coding. You see 9/11 in all their coding. 45th president, 47th president, 4 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 7 is 11. 9/11. 9/11 coding in everything. You have now two calendars that make the most sense. The Essene calendar. And what was the name of that calendar written on the paper, Sharon? Enno Mundi calendar. Now, I've studied the Overcomer calendar, the Hebrew calendar. It says he seeks to change the times and the seasons and the laws, and that prophetic utterance had been done as well. When people say, oh, I'm looking for the date of the rapture, I'm looking to get out of here. I want this great falling away to take place where we get to leave this rock and get out of this demonic world because I can't stand it anymore. I get it. And I understand how people think that Enoch was taken and did not see death. Elijah went up in a whirlwind and did not see death. Yeshua HaMashiach died and was resurrected and went into the clouds, where the two angels said, you men of Galilee, why do you marvel at such things? He shall come back in a like manner. I understand the doctrine of harpazo, rapture. I get it. But what I don't understand is how people cannot walk in faith and let it go and do their works and move on and understand that we want to know him and we want to know how and why all of this was that we may understand how much grace was given to us, how much love and understanding was given to us. Yes. We know a lot of things here. And we know that the time is short and that this season that we're in, we must operate in faith. We must operate in truth, and nothing else matters. That whatever timeline people are pointing at, it doesn't matter. This is a distraction from not being in faith and getting to know him. Now let me catch up to this chat. There are some things that I found. My favorite part about nature and birds and the bees, because they play a most vital role. Unfortunately, they are under constant attack from mirrored solar panels and inhumane levels. Yeah, absolutely. EMF, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Point as many mirrors of solar panels at the sun as you possibly can. Yeah, absolutely, Odin. Yeah. 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 I know a couple things that's consistent about the enemy and consistent about our Father and truth. You're given free will and the curious, brilliant minds in your skulls to look and understand and see these things. You're told to have discernment, to be as wise as serpent and as gentle as doves. In all the parables, it says, judge a man by the fruit of his tree, that if he yields good fruit, that he is of a good tree and of good nature. We're given spiritual discernment first, and we are called out of this system, and then we're given truth, but now we have to go look for it. I believe that is the process. And so when I'm looking and studying the Meseroth and these systems that are built all over the world and these monuments, I understand one thing. You'll be given truth, and then a whole bunch of bombardment of lies and untruths and half-truths, and you'll have to sift through 90% of garbage to find that one little bit of truth, and you go, oh, okay, I found you. And you take that truth and you put it in your pocket and you go, okay. Now, in a 300-degree perspective, 360-degree perspective, you look up, down, around, behind you, and everything, you start to continue to look again. And you stay in prayer and love. Because when you're in prayer, you're praying of things you can't see, touch, taste, and tell. You're walking in the Spirit every time you pray, and you pray in silence or you pray out loud. I wouldn't pray in front of these devices. But I would say this, that every time you operate in prayer and faith, you starve your flesh. And I encourage everybody to do fasting. I encourage you to fast. Fasting is a great way of starving your flesh. And when you starve your flesh, you walk in the Spirit. I know these things that are a certain amount of truths, and then I could tell you, I honestly don't know. There's nothing special about me. I'm not gifted, I'm not blessed, I'm not cursed, I'm just a guy. And I just know that what I'm seeing and what I'm understanding is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Odin, good comments. I'm going to end this video now because I'm going to go back into these studies, but I'll say this. Everybody who watches this video, consider this. The more you walk in the Spirit and starve the flesh, the wiser you get. The second thing is all these monuments and pyramids and ziggurats and all of these things that are hidden from us, if they're hiding it from you, look at them. All of this stuff that they're feeding you, hey, look, this, hey, look at that, don't bother. If the enemy is saying, look over there, do 180 degrees and look in the opposite direction, because I guarantee you that's their game plan. That's what they do all day long. Most of all, stay in love, stay in truth. On this Sunday, I'm going to work on my house and just stay focused, and I got to do stuff in this world. You got a leaky roof, fix it. But at the same time, since George Floyd riots, I'm not exaggerating at all, I have done nothing but look and study and comprehend all of these beautiful things that I share with you today. And I would hope and pray that anybody here that sees these videos, you are welcome to reach out to me if you're an expert in drawing or computer skills or mapping, or you have access to ancient maps, modern maps. If you're good at Google Earth, whether you're into eschatology or mathematics or whatever your professional genre is that you want to help me by partaking in this greatest, most noble endeavor to seek out these things, you are welcome to join me. I just want help. I want help to discover these things and share them with the world, and I don't have these skills. I am a simple man. I live out on a farm. I'm barely making it. I'm not wealthy. I'm not smart. I'm not special, but I am chosen and most certainly absolutely blessed with this curiosity and these things that I've seen that I cannot even begin to comprehend how I know these things. I am so blessed. So I'm going to end this video now, but I welcome everybody and anyone to help. And I love you all. By the way, Time Journey 7, I am doing awesome. I always try to do awesome, even when I'm massively under attack, as most recently I was and am and still will be. I want everybody to know, when you start this walk and you put on this uniform and you start walking in the Spirit, you're immediately gonna be attacked. So if you say, why am I being persecuted, Father? Why am I having such a hard time? It's because you're not of this world. It's because when you wake up spiritually, you start glowing bright. And you don't understand how powerful of a weapon you are to the enemy. And that's why you're going to be attacked when you start waking up. When you start waking up spiritually and you start growing and learning, from that moment on, when you start believing, when you put on immortality and you put on incorruptible, you will be attacked to the very last breath. So be blessed. Don't take these attacks personally. They hated him before they hated you. Be blessed this day. Okay, I'm going to end this video now. My battery's running out and I got lots of work to do. So may you all be blessed. But think of these things that I share with you regarding the Mazzaroth. Stonehenge, Angkor Wat, Machu Picchu, the pyramids, Easter Island, the White House, the JFK assassination site, lining up perfectly with Cleopatra's Needle, perfectly with the 7 churches of Laodicea, that the evil ones do this, building these monuments perfectly when these events happened. That's our time markers that we could literally find, articulate, mathematically figure out, tangibly touch, and bring it to our brothers and sisters and say, look, this is a Babylonian piece of pottery, and inside is our children, those little skulls and those little bones, that there was ritual murder at this site in worship of Baal that is still happening to this day at the Vatican, at these sites, modern day sites, right now. And call out this evil. Be brave. Don't be shy. Once you start walking in faith, you realize, I got him on my side. I can do this. Be blessed. Be blessed, everyone. I hope this message finds you.